Chosen one, you have been through storms that should have drowned you. You've faced nights where even your prayers felt unanswered, yet here you are, standing. Because what tried to break you only revealed what God placed inside you. The storm before the rise. In 1879, a young man named Thomas Edison faced over 1,000 failed attempts while trying to create the light bulb. People mocked him, investors abandoned him, and friends told him to quit, but he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's what faith looks like when the world doubts you. The dark forces didn't stop him. They built the fire that gave us light. Just like him, your rejection, your failure, your not yet, it's not the end. It's the process of your divine invention. They saw your light too early. The moment your spirit began to rise, the enemy noticed. When you started praying differently, thinking differently, dreaming bigger, that's when resistance showed up. The darkness doesn't fight what's ordinary, it attacks what's chosen. You may have lost people, faced betrayal, or walked through moments that made you question everything. But those were not signs of your failure, they were confirmations of your calling. Every attack was proof that heaven had its eye on you. And now, the same energy that tried to block your path will become the fuel for your breakthrough. God used isolation as your armor. You wondered why God pulled you away from certain people. Why did He allow silence, distance, and loneliness? But isolation was never punishment, it was protection. When you were alone, you learned to listen to your own soul. You began to hear God clearly. You discovered that peace is not the absence of noise, but the presence of purpose. The dark forces wanted you surrounded by distractions, but God wanted you surrounded by clarity. And now, you see it, the very solitude they mocked became your sacred training ground. The shift they never saw coming. Every energy that plotted your fall is now trembling, because they didn't expect your comeback. You healed in secret, you prayed in pain, you planted seeds in silence. And now, harvest is coming with thunder. The same mouths that doubted you will speak your name with awe. Divine timing is unfolding, and the tables are turning, not because of luck, but because of law. Spiritual law. The universe returns what is sown, and you sowed endurance, faith, and love. That is why victory has your name written on it. You were never fighting alone. Angels were covering you when you didn't even realize it. You felt weak, but that was when heaven carried you. The car didn't crash, the deal didn't fall apart, the heartbreak didn't destroy you, because unseen hands held your destiny in place. And now, every delay, every detour, every disappointment is revealing its divine reason. God was not late. He was preparing the stage for your public redemption. The darkness never had power over you. It only had permission to teach you who you are. The awakening inside your spirit. Something deep within you has shifted. You no longer crave validation, you crave alignment. You no longer chase approval, you chase peace. That's how you know you've leveled up spiritually. The tests that once terrified you now only testify to your strength. You're not who you were a year ago, a month ago, or even yesterday. The dark forces tried to keep you in fear, but you've learned to move in faith. You've realized the light in you doesn't need permission to shine. The prophecy of your victory. Everything you lost will return multiplied. Every tear you cried watered the ground for your harvest. The energy that was used against you is being reversed, turned into blessings, opportunities, and favor. Watch how suddenly doors open that no man can shut. Watch how God elevates you in places you were once ignored. Because this season is not about survival anymore. It's about recognition, divine recognition. Heaven is calling your name louder than ever before. Your silence has been your weapon. They thought your quietness meant defeat. But silence is sacred when God is moving. You weren't losing, you were loading. You weren't broken, you were being built. While they spoke about you, you were being rewritten by destiny. Every rumor, every betrayal, every painful whisper became the background noise to your preparation. You didn't clap back, you prayed back. And now, your results will speak where your words never had to. The return of divine balance. The scales are shifting. What was taken from you is coming back with interest. Those who deceived you will watch your elevation with their own eyes. Karma has begun her work, and God has stamped His approval on your restoration. Nothing can block what was promised. You were not meant to break, you were meant to build. The dark forces that tried to silence you will now witness your sound. The light that cannot be dimmed. You carry a flame that no shadow can swallow. You've endured trials that would have crushed others, but you turn them into testimony. Your resilience is the proof of your anointing. And now, your life itself is becoming a sermon, a living message of divine endurance and grace. The dark forces tried to stop you, but they only pushed you closer to your purpose. The unseen hand that lifted you. There were moments you fell so low that even hope felt like a stranger. Nights when you whispered prayers into the dark, wondering if anyone was listening. But heaven never turned away. God's silence was not absence, it was preparation. Behind the scenes, He was aligning people, timing, and places for your rise. That's why you didn't stay where you fell. Every force that pulled you down only made the lift higher. You were never forgotten, you were being positioned. The test that revealed your true power. You thought the battle was about survival, but it was really about self-discovery. God allowed the storm not to destroy you, but to show you what you carry inside. Like a seed buried in darkness, you had to be pressed before you could grow. The pressure was proof of potential. You discovered courage you didn't know you had, faith that refused to die, and strength that silence couldn't steal. The dark forces didn't expose your weakness, they accidentally introduced your power. The betrayal that became your blessing. You remember when they turned their backs on you, the ones who smiled in your face but spoke against you behind closed doors. That wound ran deep, but it was necessary, because betrayal is the gate to destiny. Just as Judas' kiss led Jesus to the cross, your own heartbreak led you to revelation. You learned who was loyal, who was temporary, and who was a divine assignment. God didn't remove them to punish you, He removed them to reveal you. What was once pain is now prophecy fulfilled. The shift from battle to authority. You are no longer fighting for peace, you are peace. You are no longer seeking validation, you embody purpose. You've moved from survival mode to spiritual authority. The dark forces sense it, that's why they panic. You no longer chase what's leaving, because what's meant for you is already magnetized to your energy. You've learned that true warfare isn't loud, it's alignment. When your spirit is aligned with divine will, no enemy can touch your destiny. That's the power you walk in now. The energy of divine reversal. Everything that once weighed you down is about to lift you. The tears you cried have become the seeds of transformation. Those who mocked your struggle will witness your miracle. Because in divine law, pain always precedes power. You've entered the season where what was meant for harm is turning into harvest. The dark forces thought they ended your story, but God only turned the page. The reversal has already begun, and it's unstoppable. The warrior in your reflection. Look at yourself now. The same eyes that once carried sorrow now carry wisdom. The same heart that once felt broken now radiates compassion. You've become the proof that pain can't destroy purpose. Every scar, every loss, every lonely night has shaped your spiritual armor. You don't need to prove your worth, you embody it. And when you walk now, even unseen realms recognize your authority. The one who was once hunted has become the hunter of light. The whispers of destiny calling. Lately, you've been feeling it, that subtle pull in your spirit, the quiet knowing that something greater is unfolding. That's not your imagination, that's divine timing speaking your name. The energy around you is shifting because heaven has scheduled your unveiling. The same places that once rejected you will now request you. The same doors that closed will reopen with favor. This is your confirmation, you're not entering your breakthrough. You are the breakthrough, the power of your endurance. Do you know how rare it is to still have hope after everything you've faced? That's not weakness, that's divine resilience. Hope is heaven's language, and you've spoken it fluently even in silence. Every time you chose faith over fear, you rewrote your fate. The dark forces couldn't understand why you wouldn't quit. It's because endurance is your spiritual inheritance. You were chosen to outlast what others couldn't withstand. That's why your name is being written in the book of overcomers. The awakening of your purpose. Purpose doesn't whisper, it roars when the soul is ready. You were never meant for an average path, and that's why nothing ordinary ever felt like home. The The storms weren't random, they were refining you for a divine assignment. Every hardship taught you empathy, every loss birthed wisdom. And now, what once confused you makes perfect sense. You see the pattern, you understand the plan. You were chosen not to suffer, but to show others how to rise. The prophecy fulfilled through your persistence. You kept moving when you had no strength left. You kept believing when the evidence was gone. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. Every act of persistence was a declaration to the universe. I am not done. And heaven heard you. The dark forces trembled because endurance breaks curses. Every moment you refused to give up rewrote your story in light. The prophecy over your life is now unfolding, and it carries one word: victory. The silence before your explosion. There's always a quiet before something great erupts. You've been feeling that stillness lately, like life is holding its breath. That's not stagnation, it's divine suspense. Heaven pauses right before promotion. God is positioning you in places where visibility meets purpose. The dark forces think the silence means defeat, but in truth, it's your launch sequence. Just as seeds germinate in the dark before breaking through the soil, you're about to emerge, unrecognizable, undeniable, unstoppable. The fire that forged your faith. You've walked through seasons that scorched your soul, times when you questioned if God even remembered your name. But fire doesn't destroy gold, it reveals it. You came out of that season purer, wiser, sharper. Every flame that touched you only refined your purpose. The dark forces thought the heat would consume you, but it only awakened your power. Now you walk with the kind of faith that doesn't flinch, because you've already survived what was meant to burn you. The calling that won't let go. You've tried to forget it, tried to fit in, tried to silence that tug in your chest, but purpose doesn't let go of its own. Every time you drift, something calls you back. It's not a coincidence, it's a covenant. You were chosen before you even knew what choosing meant. The dark forces tried to distract you with noise, with comfort, with fear, but nothing could drown out that divine pull. Because when heaven marks you, even running feels like walking in circles. Destiny always finds its way home, the unseen audience of your pain. You thought no one noticed. You thought your prayers vanished into thin air. But heaven saw it all, the tears, the heartbreak, the silent endurance. The angels recorded every sleepless night, every sigh that carried faith instead of bitterness. Nothing was wasted. The pain was never unseen. It was sacred data in the kingdom. The dark forces thought invisibility meant irrelevance, but God was simply writing your testimony in private. And soon, the world will see what heaven already celebrated, the mirror of divine reflection. The person you are now is the very answer to your old prayers. Look closely, you became what you once begged for, stronger, wiser, kinder. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It happened through breaking, healing, and becoming. Every loss was a teacher. Every delay was a sculptor. The dark forces wanted you to hate your reflection, but God wanted you to recognize it, because the divine lives within you. You don't just reflect light. You are the light walking in human form, the law of divine timing. You've learned that delay is not denial, it's calibration. The universe rearranged itself for your alignment. If it didn't happen yet, it's because heaven is synchronizing every element in your favor. You're not late, you're precisely on schedule. The dark forces tried to make you impatient so you'd settle for less. But you waited, and your patience became a spiritual magnet. Now, what's meant for you can no longer miss you. The divine clock has struck now, and everything is falling into place. The power of your forgiveness. Forgiveness didn't free them, it freed you. You released resentment not because they deserved it, but because your peace demanded it. You chose to heal instead of harden, and that decision shattered every chain attached to your spirit. The dark forces lose power when you stop carrying their poison. And in forgiving, you created space for blessings that bitterness once blocked. You didn't lose by letting go, you won by reclaiming your soul. That's spiritual warfare at its highest form, the divine exchange of pain for purpose. Every wound you endured is now wisdom in disguise. The heartbreak, the rejection, the humiliation, they were not punishments, they were promotions. Pain was the currency that bought your depth. And now, the same places that hurt you will become the platforms that honor you. The dark forces underestimated your resilience. They didn't know pain only multiplies purpose when it touches the chosen. You were not broken, you were built for revelation. The moment heaven took notice, there's a point in every chosen one's life where heaven says, enough. The warfare ends, the waiting ends, the lessons end, and the blessings begin. You've reached that point. The shift has already been declared. Your name is being spoken in rooms you've never entered. Doors are being unlocked without your knocking. The dark forces sense it. They're restless because they've lost jurisdiction over your destiny. This is the moment heaven turns its gaze fully toward you. The revelation that changes everything. It was never about who left you, what failed, or how long it took. It was always about who you became through it all. You discovered your divine identity, a child of God, unstoppable and unbreakable. The dark forces tried to erase your memory of that truth, but now you remember. You see yourself through divine eyes again. You understand that power isn't something you gain, it's something you remember. And now, remembering who you are has made you untouchable. The season of divine exposure. What was hidden is being revealed. The work you did in silence, the prayers you whispered in tears, the character you built when no one was watching, all of it is about to be seen. God never forgets the seeds planted in secret soil. The dark forces tried to bury you, not realizing they only planted you deeper. And now, as the divine spotlight rises, everything done in darkness will be brought into the light, not to shame you, but to showcase the miracle of your endurance. The masks are falling, truth is surfacing, and the ones who once doubted your journey will witness your unveiling. The reclamation of your spiritual territory. There were seasons when you lost ground, when fear took over your faith, when exhaustion dimmed your energy, when betrayal shook your foundation. But now, heaven decrees recovery. You are reclaiming everything stolen from your spirit, your joy, your clarity, your voice. The dark forces trespassed too long on sacred ground, but their eviction notice has been served. You are standing again, not as a survivor, but as a steward of divine dominion. Every inch of ground you lost will return multiplied, for God restores not in portions, but in overflow. The rebirth through brokenness. Brokenness was never your end, it was your rebirth. Like a phoenix rising through the ashes, your pain became the womb of transformation. The pieces that were once shattered, you have now become your mosaic of wisdom. Every crack holds light, every scar speaks grace. You were never ruined, you were remade. The dark forces mistook your breaking for defeat, but in truth, it was resurrection training. You had to die to who you were to give birth to who you were meant to become. And now, what once hurt you has become your crown. The cleansing through divine detachment. God stripped away what was contaminating your soul, not to harm you, but to heal you. People left, opportunities closed, familiar things faded, and though you grieved their absence, your spirit quietly rejoiced. Because detachment is not loss, it's purification. Every removal was a rescue. Every ending was protection dressed as pain. The dark forces wanted you entangled in cycles of confusion, but heaven's hand cut the cords. What you thought you needed was only blocking what was truly meant for you. Now you walk lighter, unburdened, untied, unafraid. The unveiling of your divine authority. You no longer ask for permission to walk in power, you embody it. You speak, an energy shift. You pray, and the atmosphere changes. You've tapped into the truth that the divine does not operate in begging, but in being. The dark forces tremble not because of your voice, but because of your realization. Authority comes from identity, and you have finally remembered yours. You are not a victim of spiritual warfare, you are the warrior heaven trained for this exact battle. You carry the authority of peace, the weight of purpose, and the shield of unbreakable faith, the turning of unseen tides. Something is shifting even now, quietly, invisibly, yet powerfully. You can't always see the current beneath the surface, but it's what moves the waves above. The same way the moon's gravity controls the ocean's rhythm, divine forces are pulling you toward destiny's shore. The dark forces can sense it, but they can't stop it. Their influence ends where divine order begins. What once felt like waiting is now transition. What once looked like delay is acceleration in disguise. The tides are turning, and they are carrying you straight into divine fulfillment. The weight of divine favor. You are about to experience favor that feels almost unfair. Doors will open with no explanation. People will extend kindness with no motive. Opportunities will arise where logic fails. That's what happens when divine favor touches your name. It defies reason. The dark forces will be confused because they cannot comprehend mercy. You earn some blessings through effort, but others are simply an inheritance, grace extended because of who sent you. God's favor is not random, it's recognition. You stayed faithful when it was hardest, and heaven rewards that kind of loyalty. The echo of your prayers, every word you spoke in faith still lingers in the atmosphere, resonating like a sacred vibration. Prayers never vanish, they orbit the heavens until the appointed moment. What you thought God ignored was simply awaiting divine timing. The dark forces tried to convince you that silence meant denial, but silence was only suspense. The answers are echoing back now, returning as miracles in forms you never expected. Some blessings will arrive disguised as challenges, others as sudden peace, but all will carry the same signature, answered prayer. The restoration of your voice. There was a time when fear silenced you, when your truth stayed buried beneath doubt. But no more. The power in your words is being restored. You will speak with the fire of conviction and the tenderness of grace. What once trembled now commands. The dark forces fought your voice because they knew its power to awaken others. Every time you speak truth, darkness retreat. Your words are no longer reactions, they are creation. You don't just tell stories now, you shift realities. The anointing of endurance. It's not just that you survived, it's how you survive, with dignity, with compassion, with your faith still intact. Endurance is not just stamina, it's spiritual mastery. You have learned to stand still and let God fight for you. The dark forces threw everything they had, yet here you are, unbroken, unbent, unburned. That's not strength alone, that's divine endorsement. You have been anointed by endurance itself. Your story is no longer about struggle, it's about sovereignty. You have graduated from the battlefield to the throne room, the covenant of divine remembrance. You were never forgotten. Even in the moments you felt invisible, heaven kept your name on its lip. Your faith was recorded, your endurance witnessed, your pain honored. The delays were never denials, they were divine pauses while God prepared a table that could hold your destiny. The dark forces whispered that you were abandoned, but they lied. Every hidden season was God remembering you in silence. Now that remembrance is manifesting in sudden blessings, long-awaited justice, and restoration so specific you'll know it's not random, it's personal. The unraveling of false connections. Not every hand that touched you was meant to hold you. Some people came as lessons wrapped in love, and their departure was deliverance. God is exposing what was attached to your energy but not aligned with your calling. The dark forces sent counterfeit connections, disguised comfort, hollow promises, surface loyalty. But your discernment has sharpened. You no longer fall for what flatters your emotions. You align with what feeds your spirit. Every disconnection now is divine surgery, painful, precise, and purifying. What's left standing in your life is truth. The protection is hidden in delay. If God had given you everything when you first asked, it would have crushed you. You weren't denied, you were being developed. Every delay trains your patience, your discernment, your humility. You were not waiting for the blessing was waiting for you to become the person who could hold it. The dark forces tried to twist your waiting into worry, but heaven turned it into wisdom. Now the delay reveals itself as mercy, protection dressed in time. When it comes now, it will come to stay. The breaking of generational patterns. You weren't just fighting your own battles, you were breaking ancestral ones. The cycles that held your bloodline hostage stopped with you. The dark forces used history as a weapon, trying to repeat what worked before, but your awareness disarmed it. You chose healing over habit, prayer over pride, forgiveness over fury. That's how generational chains dissolve. You are the interruption your lineage has been waiting for. What once ran in your family now runs from you, because light has entered the lineage. The ascension through surrender. True power didn't come when you fought, it came when you let go. When you released the illusion of control and whispered, "God, I trust you," that's when everything began to move. Surrender was your portal to ascension. The dark forces feed on resistance, but they cannot touch surrender, because surrender invites the divine to take over. Every time you stopped forcing and started flowing, heaven took the wheel. You learned that faith is not passive, it's powerful alignment. And now, the more you release, the higher you rise. The harvest of hidden obedience. You obeyed when no one was watching. You chose right when wrong seemed easier. You stayed kind when bitterness tried to take root. Those hidden acts of obedience became your spiritual currency. Heaven keeps no good deed unnoticed. The dark forces mocked your patience, but every quiet yes you whispered to God has built this moment. Now the harvest arrives, not as a gift but as justice. You are stepping into the visible rewards of invisible faithfulness. Every sacrifice you made is returning multiplied. The revelation of divine alignment. Have you noticed how certain things suddenly make sense? How do the pain, the delay, and the detours all connect like puzzle pieces? That's alignment. Nothing was wasted. God was never improvising, He was orchestrating. Every loss positioned you. Every heartbreak purified you. The dark forces tried to scatter your path, but destiny is too precise to be derailed. You're realizing that what you called a coincidence was actually choreography. Everything, even the breaking, was working in perfect rhythm with your purpose. The return of your spiritual inheritance. You are reclaiming blessings that belong to your bloodline. Talents, ideas, and favor that went dormant in generations past are awakening in you. The dark forces tried to bury the legacy under fear, but you've resurrected it through faith. You are not just living your own story, you are fulfilling ancestral promises. Every victory you walk in now redeems the prayers your ancestors never saw answered. Heaven calls you the restorer, the rebuilder, the one who turned pain into prophecy fulfilled. You carry the inheritance of those who came before, and you walk it with honor. The illumination of divine truth. Lies once clouded your vision, lies about who you are, what you deserve, what's possible. But truth has broken through. The dark forces can't survive where light has entered, and now you see with divine clarity. You no longer mistake comfort for peace or chaos for passion. You recognize manipulation where it hides and discern deception where it smiles. This awakening is irreversible. Truth doesn't just free you, it changes your frequency. And now you only attract what matches your light. The crowning of your divine season. You've endured the wilderness, survived the fire, and conquered the silence. You've learned to hear God in the dark and trust Him in the unknown. Now the crown fits. You are stepping into the season you were sculpted for, the one that validates every tear, every trial, every test. The dark forces have lost access to you because you no longer operate from fear, you operate from faith. You are no longer becoming, you are. The prophecy has matured. The chosen one has risen. The unveiling of divine justice. The time for quiet endurance has ended. Now comes the season of visible vindication. Those who spoke against you, those who twisted truth, those who celebrated your downfall will soon witness your rise. This isn't revenge. This is restoration. The dark forces played their part, thinking they'd written your ending, but they were only setting the stage for God's reveal. Justice is not always loud. Sometimes it arrives as peace that cannot be disturbed. What once wounded you will now watch you win. Heaven is balancing the scales in your favor. The revelation through spiritual fire. You have walked through fire so intense that it stripped away every false layer of who you thought you were. Fire burns illusions, and what remains after the flames is the real you, refined, raw, radiant. The dark forces mistook your burning for breaking, but they miscalculated. You didn't burn out, you burned through. Now your presence carries the warmth of compassion and the intensity of truth. Everything that survived that fire is eternal, and everything eternal in you is unstoppable. The healing coded in your humility. Your healing didn't come from pride or pretending you were fine. It came from humility, the sacred moment you admitted, God, I can't do this alone. That admission unlocked heaven's help. The dark forces thrive where ego rules, but humility breaks their grip. In surrender, you found strength. In stillness, you found strategy. You learned that divine help doesn't meet arrogance, it meets honesty. And because you were brave enough to bow, God is now lifting you higher than you ever imagined. The season of divine acceleration. The time of crawling is over. What once took years will now happen in months. What once drained your energy will now flow with ease. That's divine acceleration, the grace that makes up for lost time. The dark forces delayed your steps, but they couldn't delete your destiny. Now heaven is pressing fast forward. Every seed you planted in faith is being pulled into harvest by divine momentum. You're not behind, you're being caught up. You're about to see speed where there used to be struggle, the light after generational shadow. You are walking out of patterns older than your memory, patterns of fear, poverty, silence, or shame. But the moment you chose awareness, the shadow began to lift. You are the first in your line to see with eyes wide open. The dark forces wanted those cycles to repeat, but revelation broke the repetition. Your awareness became your weapon. You didn't just heal yourself, you healed history. Every step forward you take sends light backward into generations that came before. The line has been cleansed. The awakening of your prophetic sight. You no longer just see with your eyes, you see with your spirit. You can sense shifts before they happen. You discern energy, you feel the tremor of change. That's not paranoia, that's perception. God has expanded your awareness to walk ahead of the attack. The dark forces once caught you by surprise, but not anymore. You now see patterns, signs, and signals before the world does. Your discernment is your defense. You are no longer reacting, you are ruling. The closing of karmic cycles. Some seasons don't end with noise, they end with peace. That strange calm you feel lately isn't emptiness, it's completion. The cycle has ended, the debt is paid, the lesson is learned. The dark forces that once chased you have lost their legal right to your life. What used to repeat has finally been released. You are free to move forward without the weight of the past tugging you back. Divine justice has spoken. It is finished. Now, only new beginnings remain. The sanctification of your solitude. Your isolation was never exile, it was incubation. God didn't hide you to punish you, He hid you to prepare you. The silence that once felt unbearable was actually a sacred space where your spirit was being recalibrated. You learned to hear without noise, to move without validation, to trust without evidence. The dark forces feared your solitude because they knew, once you became comfortable alone, you'd never again be manipulated by false company. That quiet season made you dangerous in the spirit. The resurrection of forgotten dreams. The things you buried years ago, the hopes, the visions, the goals you called impossible, are stirring again. That's not nostalgia, that's resurrection. God is breathing on the dry bones of your destiny. What you gave up on is not dead, it was dormant. The dark forces convinced you it was over, but the divine says otherwise. Every abandoned idea, every silenced song, every hidden gift is being reawakened. You thought you lost your dream, but your dream was only waiting for your healed self to return. The awakening of your legacy. This is no longer about survival, it's about succession. You're building something eternal, something that will outlive your name. The lessons you've learned, the wisdom you carry, the light you've protected, they will ripple through others long after you're gone. The dark forces tried to stop your journey, but they couldn't stop your impact. You're not leaving scars behind, you're leaving blueprints. Your story will guide those who come after you. This is your era of establishment, not fleeting success, but lasting significance. Chosen one, this is your confirmation. You have walked through fire, storm, silence, and shadow, yet not one of them could take what was meant for you. Every force that tried to stop you only revealed the truth. You were never fighting for victory, you were fighting from victory. The outcome was already written before the battle began. Look back for a moment. Every loss taught you discernment. Every heartbreak carved your compassion. Every delay builds your endurance. And every lonely night refined your connection to God. You did not come out of the wilderness empty. You came out anointed. You carry oil from every trial, and that oil is what makes you unstoppable. The dark forces tried to convince you you were alone, but heaven was watching the entire time. Angels stood guard when your strength ran dry. Grace covered you when logic said you should have fallen. The same God who brought you through it is now announcing your emergence. You are stepping into a season where peace will be your proof, and presence will be your power. You've shifted from the one who asked, "Why me?" to the one who now declares, "Thank you, God, it was me for a reason." Because your story is not just survival, it's strategy. Others will heal by hearing how you overcame. Others will rise because you did not give up. You have become the living evidence of divine protection and purpose fulfilled. And now, as you stand in this new chapter, remember who you are: a light that cannot be hidden, a warrior dressed in grace, a vessel chosen not for comfort but for impact. You are walking proof that nothing formed against you shall prosper, because you no longer walk alone. So before you leave this moment, pause. If this message stirred something in your spirit, if you felt God speaking directly to your heart, don't let it end here. Join this movement of the chosen. Like this message, if it found you in your wilderness, comment your Amen as a declaration that you have risen, and subscribe, not for numbers but for alignment, to stay connected with a community that speaks light in a world that often forgets it. Because this isn't just another channel, this is a calling. And together, we will keep declaring truth, breaking darkness, and reminding the world, the chosen cannot be stopped. You have won, and heaven knows it. Amen.